All right, jumping in. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I was saying before this next witness will be called is that questions asked by the attorneys, as I told you yesterday, questions, arguments are not evidence unless it's adopted by the witness, as I said yesterday. There were questions during Dr. Malayla's testimony about a text generated from Ms. Benning that is now acknowledged that text was not from Ms. Benning. So just disregard that information. All right, if you'll step up, please.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sir, could you please tell us your name and spell your first and last name for us?
My name is Keyaunte Jones. First name Keyaunte, last name Jones, Jones.
And how long have you lived in Nashville?
About 4 years now.
Okay. So, are you originally from Nashville, Tennessee?
No, sir.
Why did you come to Nashville?
Came down here for school.
And what school is that?
Meharry Medical College.
And what medical degree are you pursuing?
Doctorate of Dental Surgery.
Where did you go to undergraduate?
Grambling State University.
And when did you graduate from there?
I graduated in fall of 2021.
And when did you begin dental school?
I began dental school fall of 2023.
When you came to Nashville, did you already know anyone here?
No, new person in town.
Did you live on campus or close to the Meharry campus?
Did not live on campus, but I'm in close approximation to campus, yes.
What is your current status as a student at Meharry?
I'm going into my 4th year of dental school.
And how much longer is there to go?
A few more months.
When you came to Nashville, as you told us, you didn't know anyone here. Did you meet fellow dental students and or other people here in Nashville?
Yes, sir. I met quite a few people.
And was one of those individuals Nijaiha Jackson?
Yes, sir.
How did you come to know her?
Hanging out with different people in our class. Went out a couple times. Got lunch, things like that, and then we developed a friendship.
Was she also a student at Meharry
Yes, sir.
in the dental school?
Yes, sir.
Is she still in dental school?
Yes, sir.
Did you come to know at any time a young lady named Jade Benning?
Yes, sir.
And how did that come about?
Through being friends with Nijaiha, just, I guess, developed like a mutual friendship in that sense.
Did you know Jade Benning prior to being introduced through Nijaiha Jackson?
Never met her a day in my life.
So did you know anything about her other than perhaps what Ms. Jackson may have told you?
Only thing I knew about her is what was provided to me through Ms. Jackson.
You recall, I'm not asking specific dates, but approximately when you would have met Ms. Benning for the first time?
If I got here in 2022, became friends with Nijaiha approximately 4 months after I moved here in September. Let's say I started to know Jade like beginning of 2023, maybe like February-ish of 2023.
And on how many occasions prior to the date we're going to talk about here in a minute, February the 25th, 2023, how many times approximately would you have seen Miss Benning?
No more than 2 or 3.
And was that ever just you and Miss Benning?
Never.
And what sort of settings?
We would be like in a group setting. Yeah, never alone, never personal hangouts, anything of that nature.
Had you ever been to her apartment?
No, not until that day.
Until the day we're going to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Had you ever communicated with her via text, email, or?
I don't even believe I had her number. I don't think I even had her number.
Now, did you know anyone named Blaise Taylor prior to February the 25th of 2023?
No, sir.
Had you ever heard that name before?
Heard of him, but never was familiar with him. I didn't even know what he looked like.
And what was the context of knowing the name?
Simply just knew that this is who Jade was soon to be having a child with.
And again, did you receive that information straight from Miss Benning or through Miss Jackson?
No, through Miss Jackson.
Let's move on to February the 25th of 2023. Do you recall the events of that day?
Yes, sir.
And prior to the evening, do you recall anything about what you were doing during the daytime?
I believe that day we had just left the library from like studying. I know, yeah, we had just left campus from studying.
And who is we?
Myself and Nijaiha.
So y'all were fellow students,
Yes, sir.
same class,
Yes, sir.
same courses?
Everything.
Okay. So we'll pick up there. You finished studying. It's in the afternoon, is that correct?
Yeah, probably about 6 or so, maybe 5, 6.
Okay. And what were your plans for the evening, if any?
I had plans to go home and get ready to hang out with some of my friends. And then I was informed that there was an invitation to perhaps get some food at Jade's house that night.
And was that information from Ms. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Now, in those days of being in college, free food, was that?
It sounded like a good idea. Yeah.
So, anything out of the ordinary? Was anything unusual about that, really?
No, I mean, I knew Jade was a chef, so there was nothing abnormal that she wanted to cook for her friends or anything of that nature.
Had you ever been to the restaurant where she worked as a chef, where Miss Benning worked as a chef?
No,
Or had eaten her cooking?
never.
Okay. So, offer was made. You say, sounds good.
Sounds great. Yeah.
And what, if anything, did you do after that, as far as getting to where the food was?
I think we may have went to my house, parked my car, and then from there, Nijaiha and myself rode in her car to Miss Benning's house.
Okay. And who drove, it being Miss Jackson's car?
She did.
She drove?
Yes. Yes.
Anyone else with you? Just
No, just us two.
at that time, did you know where Miss Benning lived?
No, I just heard she had just moved into a new apartment, but I was not familiar with the area or specifics as to where it was.
Did Miss Jackson drive you to what turned out to be Miss Benning's apartment?
Yes.
Recall approximately what time you arrived?
Like 7:30-ish, maybe.
This time was just a routine evening so far as everything that you knew.
Just another day to me.
Right? Any reason to be keeping track of time,
No,
directions, or anything?
not at all.
When you arrived at the location, what did you do?
Get out the car, go to this address that we were sent, which obviously was Miss Benning's house. At that point, we knock at the door and we wait for a response.
And was there a response at the door?
Yes.
From that point on, tell us what occurred. Who, if anyone, opened the door?
Jade opened the door.
And what was her appearance or demeanor when the first time you laid eyes on her that evening?
She was in good spirits. I can't remember necessarily maybe like what she was wearing, but I'm assuming it was like loungewear. She was at her house in the comforts of her own home, so assuming loungewear, but appearance and everything, she was in good spirits. She was excited to see Nijaiha and even myself at that time. I think we may have hugged, and she welcomed us into her home.
And, I mean to be repetitive, but was that the first time you had ever set foot inside her apartment?
First time and only time.
From your memory, can you describe anything of what it appeared as you stepped over the threshold into her apartment?
Normal, calm evening. I remember there were, there were small conversations, obviously, maybe some catching up and things like that. But to me, everything seemed normal. There was some food that was just getting done, being prepared. I know when I came in, she wasn't like still hustling around the kitchen, making anything. It was just a calm setting with a pot to the right of me as I walked in. Ahead of me as I walk in is a living room and calm evening.
Was there a television on, music playing, anything?
I do believe there was like music playing in the background, yes sir.
This time we've talked about 3 people being there.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anyone else besides you, Ms. Jackson, and Ms. Benning?
Yes, there was a gentleman there, yes.
Had you ever seen that individual before in your life?
No.
Were you introduced?
I was introduced, yes.
Right. And who was the person?
I was then at that point introduced to Blaise.
Right. Did you have a last name at that time?
I can't recall. Yeah, I don't think so.
Let me just ask before we move on, does the individual that you met for the first time the evening of February the 25th, 2023, here in the courtroom,
Yes, he's here.
could you indicate to that individual and perhaps tell us an item or 2 of clothing he's wearing?
I see Mr. Taylor. He's wearing a blue suit.
Could you indicate which individual?
Gentleman to the right of me.
All right, that's the record to indicate he has identified Mr. Taylor. First time you've seen Mr. Taylor, you've heard his name before, correct? I'm sorry, you have to answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. Can you describe how he appeared in first impression of what you saw?
First impression, nothing really seemed to strike me as off-putting. Seemed like a decently put together gentleman. He was quiet for the most part. And yeah, like I said, nothing really caught me off guard about meeting Mr. Taylor for the first time.
And you, I believe, referenced some sort of small talk or getting caught up. Did you have any conversation with Mr. Taylor?
If I did, I can't remember. Probably just guy talk, how you doing, something like that. Maybe talked about sports or something of that nature, but nothing overextensive.
When you first saw Mr. Taylor, what, if anything, was he doing?
When I first saw Mr. Taylor when I came in, he was kind of, like I said, to himself, quiet. He was like shuffling some cards, playing with what I believe at the time was like some Uno cards or something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much what he was doing, to himself, quiet, maybe chimed in a few times in the conversation, but just to himself.
And he told us about cooking and there being food prepared, and was that for you to take, at least some of it?
Yes, yes.
Were there any indications of anything else that was happening in the apartment?
As far as what, can you clarify that?
Well, just have the food. Did you see anything else that indicated that there was any activity they were going to be engaged in?
Yeah, at that time there were like some canvases out, and when further questions were asked, it was told that they were going to be having like a paint night.
And understand, if at all, what the purpose of the painting was?
To my knowledge, these paintings were supposed to be for like the baby's room.
And was there, I believe you said canvas, was there paint and other items that would go with that?
I mean, paintbrushes, stencils, things of that nature. Yes, sir.
And where were they?
On the kitchen island as well with the canvases.
Did you see any, talk about there being food, any type of beverages, any drinks?
Yeah, I saw like there was some like a glass out, maybe a glass or two, and had like some juice in it or something like that. But from what I can remember, that was all that I saw as far as like beverages.
You remember anything about what color the beverage was?
Some sort of pink juice.
While you were there, did you consume any beverages?
No, I didn't drink anything.
Were you offered anything to drink?
I was. I think I might have been offered maybe some of the juice or either water, but yeah, I wasn't thirsty at the time.
Did you see any alcoholic beverage inside?
Not to my knowledge that I can recall, no.
It says, how long were you there approximately?
At most 30 minutes.
During this time, did you sit down, watch TV, or were you standing the entire time?
We were standing the entire time, never sat down, no sir.
And during that time, what, if anything, did you observe Mr. Taylor doing other than shuffling the cards?
Didn't necessarily observe him doing anything, like I said, peculiar. I guess there were conversations that were asked as far as to what was going to be like painted. And within those conversations, I remember Jade saying that she was going to be painting a butterfly. And Mr. Taylor, when asked that conversation, I don't want to quote anything wrong, but it was more so something like an ominous and dark image. Maybe he was going to be painting like a dark hole or something like that. I don't know.
And did the butterfly reference mean anything or have any significance to you?
It did, just for the simple fact that at that time, through knowing Jade, I knew that that was her favorite animal.
We're there, the small talk, the catching up. Did you and Miss Jackson at some point leave the apartment?
Yeah, we leave after about, like I said, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes most. We were not there for a long time. And then, yes, after we had our conversation, got the food plated and everything, we left.
During the time that you were there, do you recall whether any one of the four of you were on cell phones or doing anything like that?
No, not to my knowledge. I feel like everyone that was in the room at that time was pretty present in the moment. I don't think there were phones that were, I don't think anyone was on their phone much.
You and Miss Jackson leave. Was there any sign to your observance that there was anything out of the ordinary?
No, not when I left, not at all.
Okay. And as far as Miss Benning, was her mood the same as when you got there?
Yeah, she was same Jade. She was happy, bubbly. She, said it was good to see us. And as we left, there was nothing that would have made me presume that, anything was wrong with her.
Were you able to visually observe that she was expecting?
I think at that time, I think she was showing a bump a little bit. I believe so.
I believe you said you already knew that anyway.
Yeah, I knew she was pregnant. Yes, sir.
Where did you and Miss Jackson go after leaving the apartment? What happened?
At that point, we go back to my house, in which, like I said, when we left the library, that's where we initially went to drop my car off. So we go back to my house, and I think she was at my house for maybe like another 40 minutes or so while we were eating, things of that nature. And then from there, after about 40 minutes to an hour, she leaves because, as I stated, I was getting ready to hang out with some friends later that evening.
Yes. So did you eat the food at your apartment? And by you, I mean you and Miss Jackson.
Yes, we ate at my apartment.
Okay. Anything unusual about the food?
No,
Was it good?
it tastes pretty good, yeah. Nothing unusual.
So, does Miss Jackson then leave your presence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do after Miss Jackson left?
After she leaves, I carry on with my evening. I get dressed. After I get dressed, I go to my friend's apartment to meet them there. And that's where, yeah.
Okay. So, while you're at your friend's apartment, were these also fellow students? Or
Graduates. Yeah, they were graduates.
So, while you were there, does anything unusual occur?
At that point, I get a phone call, a very frantic phone call from Nijaiha, pretty much, panicking. I can tell she's in distress. She's crying a little bit, and I'm trying to ask her what's going on, and all I can really get out of her is like, is something wrong with Jade? There's something wrong with Jade. There's something wrong with Jade.
And were you able to comprehend what was wrong, or?
At the time, no, but I think as I kind of maybe got her to calm down, or she calms herself down, she ends up telling me that, like, Jade.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection.
So, she's frantic, calms down, is able to communicate with you.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, what, if anything, did you do based on that communication?
At that point, I'm on the phone, and now that things have been clarified as to what's going on, she lets me know that Jade wants to.
His question was basically what you do next.
What do? I stay on the phone.
Okay. And who, if anyone, was on the phone?
Nijaiha, then I get merged with Jade.
Yes. And so it's then a three-way.
Three-way conversation.
Were you able to hear the voice of Miss Benning?
Able to hear the voice to make out what was being said? No.
And what, if anything, did you describe the voice you heard of Miss Benning's?
Soft, faint, not within the same coherence of the voice that I had previously just heard an hour ago. It was like we discussed earlier, just the fact that it seemed like she was in distress.
How long did that three-way call last that you were on?
No more than 2 minutes at that point. I think the call might have dropped or something of that nature.
So to say, did you hang up or?
No, I didn't hang up. She was no longer on the phone with me after 2 minutes.
Before you said this, did you have any idea at that time what was going on?
No, I didn't have any idea as to what was going on. Just there was two people I knew in distress.
Did you call 911 or?
No.
And why not? What you told them?
I really don't know what I would have been telling them to do had I called 911. I didn't really know the severity of the situation.
The call drops.
Mm-hmm.
You and Miss Jackson are at separate locations. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
What, if anything, did you do after the call dropped?
After the call drops, I believe I give Nijaiha a call back, just trying to confirm what's going on. She tells me that she thinks.
Listen, don't have to say what she believed, but did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
Okay. And following that conversation, what, if anything, did you do?
I carry on with my night.
Right. At that time, did you have any idea if there was anything that you could do or needed to do?
No, except be there for support.
Well, I'm going to get to that part. I'm talking about when you've finished the call, did you learn that you might be needed to go somewhere for support?
Yes. After that call, the second call we're speaking of right now, yes. At that point, I knew I might be needed somewhere later in the evening for support.
And did that in fact turn out to be true? That you...
It did indeed turn out to be true.
And where did you go?
Vanderbilt Hospital.
And let's say, why did you go there?
Because at this point, I had learned the severity of the situation that was occurring with Miss Benning.
And that you would have been one of the last people to see her.
Or speak with her, yes.
To speak with her.
Both, yes.
When you arrived at the hospital, where did you go?
I pull up and park right in front of the ambulance dock at Vanderbilt, and I was instructed to park in the garage that is right across the walkway.
Who, if anyone, did you see there that you recognized?
At that point in time, I don't believe there was anyone outside that I knew, but I did eventually go and meet with Nijaiha.
And where was Miss Jackson when you first saw her at the hospital?
Either coming down the stairs in the lobby, if I can recall, more so like the lobby, the main area right inside of the emergency room.
Do you recall approximately what time it would have been when you arrived at Vanderbilt?
In between 12:45 and like 1:30 a.m.
At any time while you were there, did you see the gentleman that you had met earlier in the evening, Mr.
No.
Taylor?
Never, no, didn't see him at all.
Did you, or were you allowed to visit and see Miss Benning at the hospital that night?
That night, no. I did not see Miss Benning that night.
Did you see or speak to any police officers that night?
No.
As the days went on, did you go back to the hospital?
Yes, I went back to the hospital, I believe the next day when like the family and friends arrived, again for support and just because at this point, like I said, the severity of the situation. And then I believe I went back a final time for her birthday.
Was that a larger family gathering?
That was the day that it was decided that the plug was going to be pulled.
Since that night, evening, when you left the apartment, have you seen or spoken to Mr. Taylor again?
No.
What I was getting around to is being personally in the presence of Mr. Taylor, that's not occurred, has it?
No.
Okay. as far as we're asked about phone calls,
Mm-hmm.
were there any telephone or cell phone communications where you were involved that Mr. Taylor was on the line?
I believe on 2 instances the night that, things transpired on February 25th.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what it's around to. Those conversations, how did that work? Let's talk about the first one.
So the first one was that initial phone call when I was told that, something was going on. I get on the phone with Mr. Taylor and I simply just ask him, like, yo, what's going on? Like, is everything good? Like, please tell me you didn't, something didn't happen in that, at the house. And he answers me and says that, no, nothing happened. He doesn't know what's going on.
And you described Ms. Jackson's tone of voice, and what was Mr. Taylor's tone?
I could sense a little bit of panic in his voice, kind of just, I don't know what type of panic, but there was some sort of like panic in his voice.
Now, was there a second communication?
Yeah, so
Mr. Taylor?
the second line of communications happens while I'm at my friend's house. I think Nijaiha calls me back and I can hear her and Mr. Taylor going back and forth with each other. This is now currently while they're at the hospital. Again, I'm not there, but I'm at my friend's. And I hear them going back and forth with each other. I think she's telling him, like, stay away from her, X, Y, and Z. And so I ask her at that point, like, put him on the phone. And when he gets on the phone, I ask him again, I'm like, yo, listen, like, please tell me you didn't do something to that girl. And he again states that he didn't. He doesn't know what's going on. I again reiterate that question and say, bro, please tell me, like, you didn't do anything to the girl. And again, his word is that he doesn't know what's going on. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to her. He swears on it.
And what was his tone or demeanor?
Again, like there seems like a little bit of uncertain panic that's going on in his undertone. Like I said, I'm no detective or anything, but like I said, I feel like there was some sort of panic that was perhaps in his voice.
And is that the extent in the final conversation that you had with Mr. Taylor?
That would have been the last time I spoke with him, yes, sir.
Wait, Marcus, you and Ms. Jackson are still in school together, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you know any of Ms. Benning's family or relatives prior to seeing them there at the hospital?
No, just heard of them, word of mouth, but I never met them or anything like that.
Those are my questions, right?
Questions on behalf of Mr. Taylor?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ed Jointer. People just call me Ed. I'm going to be asking you a few questions. If at any time you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to rephrase.
Gotcha.
Mr. Jones, when you were talking to the state, you said you came to the Nashville area for school, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where did you come from? What state?
Came here from Ohio.
That's where you were born and raised at?
Yes, sir.
And just I want to clear up a few things. You also said that you began Nijaiha medical school in the fall of 23?
Well, I was in the online master's program in 2022, and I started actual campus classes fall of 2023. Yes, dental school in fall of 2023.
So, fall of 2023 will begin when?
We actually have a MAPS program that begins in about this time. Actually, orientation was just yesterday, but actual on-campus classes start the first week of August.
The first week of August. So, the incident that we're here for is February of 2023, correct?
Yeah.
So in February of 2023, where are you in terms of your enrollment? Are you online? What's the deal there?
In February of 2023, I would have been in person on campus, a dental student at that point in time.
Okay. And there you met and knew Miss Nijaiha Jackson.
Yes.
And you all were friends.
Yes.
And so I want to talk to you about before you went over Miss Benning's house.
Okay.
You stated on direct examination that you had planned to go out that evening with your friends.
Yes, sir.
And at some point you were invited by Miss Jackson to go to Mrs. Benning's house.
Yes, sir.
And you also knew that Blaise Taylor would be at Mrs. Benning's house.
Yes, sir, I believe so.
And so, did you have any reservations about going on a date to Mrs. Benning's house and Blaise was going to be there? Did you feel like you were intruding is my question.
I can't say at the time. I think, it was more so I knew that they were going to be having like couples night, so I'd say it was okay, like they could have their time together, but I was told that Jade wanted us to come.
Right. Was it going to be like a double dating situation?
No.
What was your purpose of going there?
Because I had been given the invite to come get food as well.
And so, did you plan to stay long?
No.
So, you were going to get some food and then leave?
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Can I have State's Exhibit 1A, 1B? Commissioner Publishon?
Yeah, it should be coming up there.
All right. So you talked about going over Miss Benning's house. Does this look like Miss Benning's house as it was in February of 2023?
No, not as it was as February 2023, no, sir.
This is not her apartment?
No, this is her apartment.
Okay. And that's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, is this the apartment that you were at?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. And so you all go over there, and there was some talks about Blaise's demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
And by all accounts, you described him as normal.
Normal, yes, sir.
Nothing was alarming about him.
The only thing that was alarming, like I can attest to, is the comment about painting a black hole. It's the only thing that stood out to me.
I agree. Let's talk about that. You see this? Can you draw a circle around that image right there for me? If you touch your screen, it'll put a circle around it. Do you know what that is?
I can't tell you what it is, no.
That's a painting. Is it not?
I can tell you it's a painting, yes, sir.
Does it look like an ominous black hole?
I don't know what it looks like.
Do you know what a black hole looks like?
Dark, kind of how this looks, a little dark as well.
You want to point your, can you draw a smaller hole within inside of that hole? Mr. Jones, is that a dark hole?
It's a white circle.
My question is that a dark hole?
No, sir.
One other thing.
They're gonna clear that,
Okay.
unless you want it still up.
Thanks. Thank you. The state had asked you who was present there. And in this photograph, we see two people here in this corner. You see those two individuals there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see those two individuals there?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Were they present when you came?
No, sir.
So, at some point, you and Ms. Jackson get your food and you all leave, correct?
Yes, sir.
And where do you go again?
To my house?
And does Ms. Jackson accompany you there?
Yes, sir.
And about how long does she stay there?
As I've stated already, probably about an hour max. I think 40 minutes to an hour.
And how do you, if you remember, how far do you live away from Mrs. Benning?
At most 12 minutes, if you put it in maps.
Okay. So, from Ms. Benning's house, you go back to your house, correct?
Yes.
You stay there about an hour.
Yes, sir.
You eat the food.
Eat the food.
It's delicious.
Yes.
And then at some point, Ms. Jackson leaves.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us how long was she gone before you received a call from her?
I can't really recall.
Do you remember feeling like it was quick? Damn, she just left.
I think it was probably about, again, like 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. So, she calls you. And when she calls you, you describe her as being in a panic.
Yes, sir.
And as a result of her calling you, you get on a three-way call with Miss Benning.
Yes, sir.
And so now it's you, Jade, and Nijaiha on a three-way call.
Yes, sir.
And you're not able to make out anything that Jade is saying.
Like I said, it just sounded distressed. I believe she might have like maybe said my name or like that she needed help or something of that nature.
Oh. So you heard that when you were on the call?
I need you to reiterate that.
I'll rephrase it, no problem.
Yes, sir.
When you were on direct examination with the state, you talked about when you were on a three-way call,
Mm-hmm.
it was you, Nijaiha, and Miss Benning.
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
And when you were on direct examination with the state, you said how you could not ascertain what Miss Benning was saying, correct?
It was very slurred.
And now on direct examination, you're saying she was saying your name, Keith?
I can't tell you what she was saying.
So which one is correct? Did she say something audible that you could understand, or did she?
It was very muffled. So no, it wasn't too clear what she was saying.
Okay. But just to be clear, the original call from Nijaiha, you felt that she was in distress and a panic. Nijaiha, correct? When
Yeah.
she first called you.
You're asking me, was Nijaiha in a panic?
Yes, that's how you described it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so, as a result of you experiencing that distress phone call from Nijaiha, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then being on a three-way call with Nijaiha as well as Miss Benning,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes, sir.
What you did after that was continue on with your day, correct?
Yes, sir.
You said you went out, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you change your clothes
At what point in the night?
after the call? And when you got back home,
Yes, sir.
did you change your clothes when you first got back home?
To go out? Yes, sir.
Do you remember what you changed into?
Nah, I couldn't tell you.
So, at some point, while being out, you said you received another call or you made a call?
I can't recall. I just know I was on the phone at some point, me being out.
Okay. And as a result of you being on the phone, while you were out, you said you went to Vanderbilt Hospital.
After me being out, yes.
Right, because regardless of what you heard earlier, you still went out with your plans, correct?
Yes, sir.
And while you were out, you got another call.
Mm-hmm.
And that call led you to go to Vanderbilt Hospital, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you get a visitor's pass that night?
I don't know. I can't recall.
Well, tell the jury, what did you do after you got at Vanderbilt?
When I get to Vanderbilt, obviously I think I check on the person that I'm most connected to in the situation, and at that point, I check on Nijaiha, Miss Jackson.
How do you check on her?
We meet in the emergency room lobby.
Are you able to do that without getting a visitor's pass?
I wouldn't know Vanderbilt's criteria as far as how they go about seeing visitors.
Did you go through a metal detector that night?
I don't think they have metal detectors at the door.
Okay. So if Miss Jackson had a visitor's pass and went through a metal detector to get into Vanderbilt, certainly you would have too, correct?
I would assume so, but like I said, maybe their staff wasn't doing their job that night.
Maybe so. Let's talk about who you encountered once you arrived at Vanderbilt. Did you encounter an officer named Fitz?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Did you encounter a Detective Smith?
I don't believe so.
Did you encounter an Officer Kalinsky?
Don't believe so.
Did you talk to law enforcement at all that night?
I don't think so.
At some point during either call, when you were on the phone on the three-way, did you ever hear Blaise say he was about to call 911?
I think I do recall him maybe saying something of that nature.
Okay. At any point, did you ever learn that the police wanted to speak with you?
At that particular night, no.
And if the law enforcement wanted to speak to you, would you have been a willing participant?
Yes.
Do you recall an interview with an investigator around April 30th of 2023?
The one that showed up to my house?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And do you recall speaking with that investigator?
I do.
And do you recall telling that investigator that no one from law enforcement ever contacted you?
I guess so. I can't recall.
You can't recall?
I don't recall that conversation. I think that was almost 2 years ago.
Would a recording of that conversation refresh your memory and aid you in your testimony today?
If you have it, yes, it would definitely help.
Brief moment, y'all. I have a moment to just get the audio recording together.
Just have audio or also have a transcript?
I have an audio. I only have one transcription, Your Honor, but I have an audio that way I can provide it also to the state and let them hear it.
Or we may need to approach.
Okay, so pull out the transcript and see if we can show it to the witness and see if that refreshes his memory.
I have a copy of the transcript, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you wanting to approach the bench?
Yes, Your Honor, as opposed to asking for the jury out.
Okay. You step up. All right, get that, Eric. They're wanting to show you just this transcript or this paper and see if you can just look at the bracketed information at the bottom. Is the question he's wanting to ask you about whether you ever talked to the police. Does that refresh your memory as to what you told the investigators?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, And what is your question? Do you need it back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So, Mr. Jones, we were discussing whether or not you recalled having an interview on April 30th, 2023 with an investigator from Covert. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall stating that at that time, the police did not interview you?
Yes, sir.
And do you also recall stating that, honestly, I was trying to kind of be as far away from the case as possible?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Jones, have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor theft?
Never been convicted, not to my knowledge, no.
One second, Your Honor. Not to your knowledge?
Miller, ask and answer.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Sure. I just want to make sure that I understand when you say no, that are you saying it never happened or you don't remember ever being in legal trouble for misdemeanor theft out of Ohio?
Your Honor, I object to that.
Okay. Legal trouble. You asked him if he'd been convicted of a misdemeanor theft, and your answer is,
Not to my knowledge, I've never been convicted for a crime.
okay.
So, one second, Your Honor. Mr. Jones, you are from Ohio, correct?
I stated earlier, yes, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Wait, let the lawyer step up just a moment. Or any other questions from the state?
Always reluctant to say just briefly, but I'll try to do that. Sir, April 2023, was that when the defendant's investigator came to your residence?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any advance notice that someone was coming to interview you?
Not at all. I was woken up out of my sleep.
And this person identified themselves. Do you recall who it was?
If they did, they didn't make themselves clear as to who they were, just that they were an investigator of part of this case.
Now, as the police investigation moved along, have you not only been interviewed, but spoken with the prosecutors on several occasions
Yes, sir. As far as yes,
in preparation for
this case.
trial?
Yes, sir.
And this being very shortly after Ms. Benning passed, was that something you were focusing on?
At the time, no. I was probably more so focused on school and, things of that nature.
Is this, you describe hearing both Mr. Taylor and Ms. Jackson as panic. You use that word. Their voices, the tenor of their voices.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a difference between the two types of panic?
There was a difference. Miss Jackson's, like as I stated, was more so like a frantic, worried panic, and I don't know what language I'm allowed to use in here, but
We're all adults.
Mr. Taylor's was more so of like a no shit, I just effed up type of panic.
Those are my questions.
Any other questions?
Sure. Mr. Jones,
Yes, sir.
that description that you just gave while the state was on redirect, oh shit, I fucked up panic. Have you ever stated that before at any time to anyone?
Yes.
Did you state that to the investigator when he spoke to you on April 30th?
I don't know if that question was even asked in that investigative conversation.
Do you not remember?
As I already stated, that was about 2.5 years ago, so no, I don't recall.
And would, if given the opportunity to review a transcript of that conversation, would that refresh your memory and aid your testimony here today?
I think it would. Can I ask, sir, where would you like me to be reading, or should I read the whole thing?
Take a moment, read all of it.
Can I ask, is there a specific place that you want me to read? I've read over it, but nothing, I'm not getting where this is leading.
It's not for you to get where it's leading, sir. Did you read all of it?
I mean, we would be here a while if I read all of it.
It's worth it. Please take the time, familiarize yourself with it.
Okay. think I've seen enough.
Did you read all of it, sir?
I didn't.
Did you read all of it, please?
Okay, just read whatever page, the last page. You didn't read.
Okay.
All right, while he's doing that, may we approach briefly?
Okay. Okay, now what's your question?
So, Mr. Jones, the description you gave that Mr. Taylor was, oh, I fucked up, panic. Have you ever given that statement to anyone at any time?
Yes.
When?
When I met with the DA.
When was that?
First time I probably gave that testimony was back in February.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay. And did you talk to Detective Reese on February 28th of 2023 by phone?
I don't know who Detective Reese is.
So if he said he spoke to you, you don't recall that?
Is that who this person is?
No, sir.
I don't know who Detective Reese is.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any other questions?
Just you, Mr. Jones, having read this transcript, did you see anywhere in there where you were asked the question to describe or asked to describe the panic that you testified in today? Were you ever asked that?
I don't see that question presented in this document.
All right. But we asked you, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Any other questions?
Mr. Jones, you understood that the purpose of that visit was to get information about what happened and what information you may have had as it related to Jade Benning, correct?
Sure. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
No further questions, John.
Mr. Jones, when did you realize that that person who came and got this information from you was working for Mr. Taylor?
After I had already had this conversation and given them the information they requested.
That's all.
Any other questions?
No questions from Ms. Winshaw.
Thank you. Who's the next?
Andrea Rose.